So, in the last video, I mentioned that my family and we went to Disney World when I was around 4 or 5 years old. And I mean, I'm sure at some point I've spoken to my mom about the exact timeline of things, but at some point I started to give up on figuring everything out and making sure it was in the right order because the way that my mind and my body recollect and remember events that I've experienced, I mean, honestly, someone could be sitting right next to me my whole life and have a different interpretation or assimilation to all of that. And so, I just want to share from what I remember or recollect in certain ways. Not that anyone cares to a degree, but I wanted to voice that because I do think at times people treat memory or past events as if there was only one thing occurring, and not to lean too much into the manipulation of time because I'm not fully down with that. And yet, manipulation could be like I'm manipulating clay and I'm making a beautiful vase. But it could also be manipulation to change certain things that maybe then ripple effect and change other things, where you could say good intentions are not all that is necessary. So there's something to sharing about this stuff, but also commenting that there's a reason I feel that we record what we do, and that there are moments in our lives we can look back and even at times rewrite stories, but I don't think anything ever really goes away. And so everybody's different with this, but there's something to me saying this happened, no this, and then it was this thing. Sometimes that matters, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to share stories that I recollect, but also I'm putting out a call through my voice. My voice is an integral key to a lot of this stuff when it comes to me sharing something that is true for me, that carries that frequency or that resonance. So believe what you will about my stories, but I will keep sharing. So I was hot on how bad aliens were everywhere. They were everywhere at Disney World. They were just everywhere in general, and everything here was even just a little bit off. It wasn't all bad, but it was like, is anybody else seeing this? And not just seeing it, but like hearing it, feeling it, sensing it, seeing beyond just the physical, but like the mind's eye, also like what can you see in the dark? There's agendas, I do feel, and I do like to say bad aliens because for one, see me smiling, it makes me laugh. And it's not all about laughing at things or turning everything into some comedy, and yet I do feel that is a way to disband and dispel certain energies, make eye contact, be dismissive in a certain way, or disregard something in a certain way, and get a chuckle in. I don't know. Okay. So even at this day camp that we went to in Disney World, or near Disney World, it was in Florida. And mind you, people might like this, but they served me hot dogs cut up in macaroni and cheese, and I was like, these are fucking bad aliens. Like, I'm not gonna eat this. Ew. Oh man. But I was an extremely picky eater, sort of like from the get-go. There were certain things I would eat, but weird, unique things always. So still a picky eater, but I was like, I used to eat mushrooms on my pizza. I don't now. Now I'm like, ugh. So even little me was okay with that. But I mentioned that because there's something to the way we all assimilate this plane. Every single thing here. I was going to pick up a bunch of stuff, but I just said it. Everything here. You don't need me to pick up everything to know I'm speaking to this plane being holographic. And so, uh, oh man, I forget what I was saying exactly. Uh, darn. Let me try for one moment to remember. But I feel like even me commenting on me trying to remember, it might not happen. Um, okay, so I was talking about how I was a very picky eater, and something that might be talked about when it comes to being an extremely picky eater is something along the lines of neurodivergence, but also autism, etc. And so there's something to picking up nearly anything in this holographic plane, especially in one that is not acknowledging the holography that is, meaning that this marker could technically contain all the information of this plane. And even when I take the cap off, it doesn't change how much it holds. It still holds all the things, and so does this cap. That might not land, but that's just how, since I was a little kid, I'm like trying to explain things. I actually used to carry around snow globes, like whip them out and be like, and I might have already mentioned it, but it was around this age of 4, 5, 6 that I'm speaking about, where I was, shake it and I'd be like, we can do that. We could change the weather. Or I'd ask people, like, do you think this is more realistic than a globe? This snow globe? More like this than the Earth globes they're showing us. But okay, so all that to say, yeah, I was super picky and I didn't like certain food, but the pickiness is also based in that I pick up a lot from nearly anything here. You could put that into different reasonings. But part of it is like, yeah, I could maybe, let's say with a marker, feel everyone who designed it, who is at a factory that put it together, who boxed it, who shipped it, who sold it. I can feel every being involved. But also, in a sense of like things being portal-ish, this contains all that there is. And so me being in certain moods, feeling certain ways, holding certain things, I'm picking up a lot. So when it's food, smelling and tasting, oh, there's a lot that's going on for me compared to other people. And I mean, people often I find equate, and this is not what I'm even planning to talk about today, but you know, uh it's equated with like being childish or being immature when there's texture or food issues. But I believe that there are much deeper things going on, and it's not so much about diagnoses as it is opening up to and somehow to the very holography of this plane. It's already here. It's been here this whole time. Um, we are it. Okay, so continuing on. I was really into pranks around this age. I mean, I guess I've always been a goofball in a certain way. But I was going to the flea market with my dad and getting like this snake in a peanut can, like you want some peanuts? So sort of dumb pranks. I'm not trying to like buzz anyone's hand, although I got one of those kind of things once because if I didn't like you, boy who's mean to me, I might do that. Oh, like a whoopee cushion, that was great. I would bring it to school. But yeah, I felt annoyed in my life at this age, ages like 4 to 6. But in general, like I am annoying to everyone, it seems, and not just in my family, but in the world, in my life. It was like I am like, hello, I'm here to somehow stop these bad aliens. And also fuck shit up in the best way possible. I'm here to end cycles. I wasn't saying all those things all the time to people, but it's a presence I have. It's an energy I have. And people didn't like that. And understandably so. At least for me as a young kid, I was like, I understand. They're under spells. It was a lot to process and carry, and yet I knew there was some reason I was here. There's some reason. But I felt like I couldn't get people's attention. I felt like no one wanted to listen to me. And sometimes honestly I still feel that way in my family and beyond. I feel like, hello. Like you know what it's like to be someone people don't listen to a lot of, and in some way it's been protection. But people will act like they're listening to me and then talk to me, and I'm like, how are you going to talk to me when I'm the one talking, so I'm aware you're not paying attention? You're the one who's spaced out. We all know what it's like to be spaced out and acting like we're paying attention. But imagine yourself on the receiving end of that for many years in a way where you're like, and you're also a smiley person naturally. Growing up in Baltimore City, people would be like, what the fuck are you smiling about? And I'd be like, because I'm here to end cycles, but also, ow, ow, that hurts. People are so mean here. So, I would sometimes at my house wait for people to be on the toilet to do a prank because they couldn't get away from me then. One day I was home alone with my mom and I felt like I should go do that upstairs in the bathroom. And when I busted in there to do that, and mind you, this is one of the instances where maybe my memories transformed because it was too scary for me to experience. So my mom's like, I don't think that's what happened. And I'm like, I'm just going to go with it because that is how it felt. That is what my body decided to remember it as, that I was going in to do good old snake in the peanuts can prank. Like, hey, you want some peanuts while you're on the toilet? And my mom was having a stroke, and her head was against the wall, and she couldn't move that well. And my memory was that I just stood there staring at her and was an awful, unhelpful human. I saw a little piece of myself leave through the house and go up into the sky. It felt much safer there. Similarly to the peace that I feel I regained in some sense when I was in Indiana. Like my memory, I stood there. Reality, I ran to the neighbors and I got my neighbor. My mom was okay, but no one really explained to me what happened. I don't think, I feel like people think we're in this super modern time, but let's say we have been under a wave of spells. What is true history? We don't really know, and yet it's important to speak about these things. So even yes, in the 90s, not a lot of medical help, especially for ladies. Imagine that. So, no one really explained to me what happened either. When it comes to like, I feel like someone could have been like, this is what happens when someone has a stroke. Even if someone might not think that's what a little kid would want to hear, I would have loved to have someone explain to me anything or just to talk to me about it at all. And at the same time, I knew people were sad and dealing with stuff. And so like there was this layer again where I was like coping with a lot, trying to nurture myself and soothe myself in certain ways, doing a lot of like rocking and like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But also felt crazy. I'd be like, just wait till the year 2020. Just wait till the year 2020. Like I'm fucking weird. There's no other way I could be alive during other time frame. Like, well, I mean, I've been alive. I don't know. Let's not get into that. But what I'm saying is like, is no, now that we're all beyond 2020, it's like I definitely went a little bit more crazy when that time came around because of how much of my life I spent. Like, just wait till it will all make sense in 2020. Just hold on, Teresa. So it felt like annoying, but at the same time, my mom had a stroke, and I wanted her to be okay, and the vision of her and how she looked kept flashing through my mind, and I felt sort of stunned in a certain sense. And sometime before or after that, like I said, I don't always remember the order of these memories or events, the order of the events. My dad got into a bad car accident and his head went through the windshield. But like my mom, he ended up being okay. And he was even Frankenstein for Halloween that year. I would shake my fist at the sky and say, "You won't get me down, bad aliens. You're not gonna get me down. I gotta, I gotta keep going." I was already so annoyed. As I mentioned, there were shows on TV, Erie, Indiana, Rugrats, just those two to mention, which both started in 1991, which was the year I went to preschool, and I was like, I'm on a mission. And everyone was like, "You're a weird freak," and I was like, What's wrong with that?" But yeah, the fact that Indiana was where I had this experience of initially feeling like I was woken up from a spell, watching the show Erie, Indiana as a young kid, I was like, "Fuck this show," but also I love it. But also, bad aliens making all these TV shows to annoy me, just to like poke at me. You won't get me down. Rugrats, babies who are smart, who contemplate things, and who are talking. Is this to, you know, again, I didn't know the word gaslight. Mock, maybe at some point I learned, but not ages 4, 5, and 6. But I just felt like the bad aliens were trying to be like, no matter how much you hide, there's nowhere to hide because this is a holographic plane and you have a unique energetic signature, unlike any other. So all of this happening while living in this fucked up place, like the way the world has been to a certain degree. But I knew the timing was ripe and that millennials would be hyper exposed to so much. They would be overstimulated. Um, this overstimulation causing an overload to the mind so that emotions loop. All by some bad alien design. I knew this. I just had to figure out how to stay alive and make it to 2020. Admittedly, this was hard. And I remember picking up coins earlier that were covered in blood after my dad's accident, thinking, I bet he was being shady, like drinking or going to see someone he shouldn't see. I had suspected since I was 2 years old that he cheated on my mom or was just doing stuff because he was bringing home these clouds of stuff and these like energies. And I just, there's something to the way some of us see things here. And it's like you're a person, and then you have this whole like sphere of energy around you. And there's literal scenes of history playing out in that. And that is like, it's like we're all human on a certain level here. Yes, and not to say this isn't human, but what I'm speaking to is something where like you can't see it the same way you can see skin. I don't know if I'm explaining this in the right way or saying this in the right way, but there's something to like we can get influenced and imprinted upon. And so let's say it's like I see all your stuff, you can't lie to me, but we all get swayed by our emotions and thoughts in ways that we can be deceived by people based in our resonance and relationship. And so even those of us who see a lot, we are still human. And you know, my dad was being shady, I'm sure, but I just felt overwhelmed with even feeling like I had to worry about doing energy cleansing at my house, not knowing what that energy cleansing was, but being like, "Ugh, my friggin' dad, if he would just stop, like, gosh." And I knew he worked for the federal government, and I didn't quite know what that believed. I did go visit his work around this time at some point, bring your daughter to work day, and I think that's when he was working for USDA, and I was like, whatever the government is, bad aliens run it. I feel like this video has been especially me saying the words bad aliens over and over. But I remember driving. And we're driving close to DC, and I'm like building after building, and how many people are inside, and how many people are working a job, and it has a title. And I was like, this is the problem. All these jobs are the problem. Keeping people indoors, keeping them attached to egos through means of some sort of exploitation, so they have to pay for things they shouldn't have to pay for, like beyond the companies and the actual human people at certain times, although I'm not here to say fully what's black or white between a human and an alien or anything like that. Uh it was like, it's the bad aliens doing this. It's not just like mad, bad, greedy people. I was like, there's, and whatever bad alien energy was, the way I was perceiving it, I was like, there's something to a design of how things are here in the holography that would go unnoticed. So, I started to believe that my dad was unaware that he forgot his own origins too. I knew this, but I feel like he'd maybe entered me and my sisters into some realm where our dream worlds would be affected by what we were being subconsciously exposed to, maybe with those clouds of stuff he was bringing home as well. Um, and this would then shift the physical reality. I stayed hyper vigilant in this time. Like I feel like since I was one, I was like seeing stuff, I'm feeling stuff, I'm sensing stuff, and I feel like no one is picking up on things. And honestly, a lot of people have woken up since then, but it's still like this thing where people are like playing a game or they're in a movie or they're at a school or they're in a prison planet, and it's like man, this is crazy. I will say between ages 4 and 6 is also when I made up the McDonald's song because I loved eating McDonald's. And yeah, sure, be like, there's people in that, and you eat people. I don't say whatever you want. I'll still eat McDonald's now and then in a pinch rather than not eat anything if it wasn't planned. Wait, that doesn't make sense because then I wouldn't plan it. So what I'm saying is if I need some food and I didn't plan that well, I'm not going to just not eat. If I'm not going to eat, I'm going to plan not eating. I hope that makes sense. But actually, I don't know why I said I hope because it's either not going to make sense or it is, and it's whatever. But anytime I saw McDonald's, I would obnoxiously go, McDonald's, 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 until I was brought to McDonald's to the point where my family would try to distract me, and little kid me started to pick up on they're starting to distract me. There's probably a McDonald's nearby. So yeah, until next time.